Imagine a world where everything feels still, but you can sense a storm just over the horizon. This was the feeling in the Middle East in the early summer of 1967. On the surface, life continued its familiar rhythm. In the bustling markets of Cairo, merchants arranging spices, merchants arranging fabrics, their voices creating a lively chorus. In the quiet streets of Jerusalem, families preparing for their daily routines, children's laughter echoing through ancient stone alleyways. Farmers in the green fields of the Galilee tended to their crops under the warm sun. It was a time of ordinary moments, a collection of countless small lives weaving the tapestry of a region steeped in history. Yet, underneath this veneer of normalcy, a deep and unsettling tension was building, like the low hum of electricity before a lightning strike. The air was thick with unspoken fears and whispered anxieties. For years, the nations in this corner of the world had lived in a delicate and often broken state of peace. Old disagreements, like stubborn roots, had grown deeper over time, twisting around the foundations of their shared geography. Leaders on all sides spoke in increasingly bold and defiant tones, their words broadcast over radios printed in newspapers. People listened to these broadcasts in their homes and cafes, a knot of worry tightening in their stomachs. This period was not marked by overt conflict, but by a series of moves and counter-moves, like a tense chess match played on a global scale. Armies were put on high alert. The war began not with the rumble of tanks, but with the roar of jet engines in the clear morning sky of Monday, June 5, 1967. In a meticulously planned and daringly executed operation codenamed Focus, the Israeli Air Force launched a massive preemptive strike against the air forces of Egypt. Waves of Israeli jets, flying low to avoid radar detection, streaked across the Mediterranean Sea and over the Sinai Desert. Their targets were the military airfields where the bulk of the Egyptian Air Force, hundreds of modern fighter jets, bombers, sat parked on the tarmac, vulnerable and exposed. The Israeli pilots had trained for this exact mission for years, studying every detail of the bases they were about to attack. The surprise was absolute and devastating. The first wave of attacks caught the Egyptian military completely off guard. With the skies now under their control, Israeli ground forces launched a multi-front offensive that moved with breathtaking speed and force. The main thrust was directed at the Egyptian army in the Sinai Peninsula. Israeli armored divisions pushed deep into the desert, Israel Tal Ariel Sharon engaging Egyptian forces in a series of fierce tank battles. The Sinai, a vast and unforgiving landscape of sand dunes, rocky mountains, became a graveyard for hundreds of Egyptian tanks and military vehicles. Outmaneuvered on the ground and relentlessly pounded from the air, the Egyptian army's lines began to crumble. Within 4 days, Israeli troops had fought their way across the entire peninsula, reaching the eastern bank of the Suez Canal. Simultaneously, a second front opened to the east. Despite Israeli pleas for Jordan to stay out of the conflict, King Hussein ordered his forces to shell West Jerusalem and other Israeli targets. Behind the sweeping maps of military strategy and the staggering statistics of destroyed equipment, the war was a deeply personal story of human suffering and sacrifice. For every tank that burned in the desert, there were soldiers inside, young men far from their homes, caught in the terrifying chaos of battle. An Israeli soldier, crouched in a trench, might have clutched a worn photograph of his family, his thoughts a world away from the noise and fear surrounding him. An Egyptian soldier, lost and thirsty in the vast Sinai, might have dreamt of the cool waters of the Nile and the village he had left behind, his hopes for survival fading with the setting sun. The war was not an abstract event. It was a collection of millions of individual moments of terror, bravery, and loss. The conflict reached far beyond the battlefields, touching the lives of civilians in cities, towns, and refugee camps across the region. When the guns fell silent on the evening of June 10th, the map of the Middle East looked profoundly different from how it had just 1 week earlier. The swift and decisive Israeli victory resulted in a massive expansion of the territory under its control. From Egypt, Israel captured the entire Sinai Peninsula, a vast desert buffer zone stretching all the way to the Suez Canal, the densely populated Gaza Strip. This gave Israel strategic depth and control over the shipping lanes that Egypt had blockaded, but it also placed over 300,000 Palestinian refugees living in Gaza under Israeli military administration. From Jordan, Israel captured the entire West Bank, a territory annexed by Jordan after the 1948 war. This included the historical and religious heartlands of Judea and Samaria, and most significantly, the eastern part of Jerusalem. The reunification of Jerusalem under Israeli control was a moment of immense religious and national significance. Israelis had been denied access to holiest sites like the Western Wall for 19 years. However, hundreds of thousands of Palestinians in the West Bank now found themselves living under Israeli occupation. From Syria, Israel captured the Golan Heights, a rugged plateau overlooking the Galilee region. The Six-Day War was over in less than a week, but its consequences have echoed through the decades, shaping the lives of millions and defining the political landscape of the Middle East to this day. For Israel, the stunning victory brought a euphoric sense of confidence and security, but it also presented a profound and complex demographic and moral challenge. Suddenly, Israel was responsible for governing over 1 million Palestinians in the West Bank and Gaza who did not wish to be under its rule. This new reality, the occupation, would spark ongoing resistance and create deep divisions within Israeli society itself about the nation's character and future. For the Arab world, the humiliating defeat led to a period of deep introspection and political upheaval. The dream of a unified pan-Arab military force capable of defeating Israel was shattered. This failure led to the decline of secular Arab nationalism, as personified by Egypt's Nasser, and created a vacuum that was gradually filled by the rise of political Islam and various non-state militant groups, such as the Palestine Liberation Organization, which argued that the Arab states could not be relied upon to liberate Palestine. The hope for a lasting peace remains, but it is a hope that must contend with the powerful and persistent echoes of 6 days in June that changed everything.